Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hey, what's going on? Tyler here from Black Diamond Softball and Fitness, and we got a brand new episode of the Foul Pole Daily Show for you. Today I want to get into ideal roster sizes. I'll just hit you with it in the beginning. There's no such thing as an ideal roster size that's a one size fits all. You got too many age groups in the game of softball, whether you're talking about 8s or 16s or 18s, it doesn't matter what other people are doing. It has to work for you and your team and your parents. So in my opinion, in the 8U ranks, you've got 10 ball players on the field at one time. So you don't want to carry a huge roster because you want to maximize playing time at the 8s and the 10s. Once you get into the 10s, most places have pitchers and most places have catchers. At the 10U ranks. So you're going to carry a few pitchers, and they're also going to be utility players because there's no reason to become a pitcher only at the age of 10. Your catchers in the summertime, they're going to get hot. You don't want some 10-year-old behind the plate back-to-back games, like 3 in a row, 4 in a row. And some places play these one-day tournaments to where you start playing at 8 o'clock and you don't leave until, God knows, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. So you want to have a few catchers and a few pitchers. But as you start to get older, a rule of thumb to go by, or at least for me in the circles that I run in, is if you're coaching 12s, you need to have at least 12, maybe plus 1 and go to 13, and then so on and so forth. If you get all the way up there to the top ranks, and we're talking 16s and 18s on the national level, go and look at some of their rosters. And you'll see that most of the successful teams carry a heavier roster. You're talking 18 to 20 players. And the reason why that works, and the reason why more and more teams do that, is because it's very seldom that you'll have all 18 or all 20 at a weekend, because there's so much going on in their lives. They're kids too. And you're going to miss tournaments, you're going to miss practices, and that sort of stuff. So if we go all the way up there and we're talking about those ages, you probably are rostering 4 or 5 pitchers. Some of them could be at camp, some could be at official visits, some could be at a pitching clinic, some could be doing something like that. You have proms and you have different events that they have going on. There's a lot of stuff that happens. But also during the summertime, you want to have your complete team as much as you can get, because you could end up playing a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday type tournament. Some of them even start on Wednesdays. And that's a long time to ask 10 girls at 16U to play the highest competitive ball they've ever played at a high level, starting on Thursday and ending on Sunday, hopefully in a championship. They're just not going to be able to do it. You got your pitchers that are throwing 7 innings and then going to play third base in the heat, and then turning around playing first base for a couple innings and then going to pitch. It's a lot. And I know we've got parents out there saying, well, they can handle it, and if they can't play in college. Well, did you know that the most that the college girls will play in a day is a doubleheader? They'll play 7 innings, maybe sit for an hour or so, and then they'll play another 7 innings. Very, very rarely do you see a pitcher going back-to-back games in college, especially on a doubleheader. So I know it's expensive. I get the fact that a lot of us equate the money that we put in for team dues or whatever you want to call those to playing time. So it's like, I paid $1,500 for the spring summer season. My kid better get maximum playing time. I don't care how good they are. And eventually that mindset sort of changes a little bit. I get it at 8s and 10s and 12s. But once you get to 14s, you're not playing in as many tournaments because you're playing in a little bit bigger tournaments and a little bit more expensive tournaments. And the kids are needing that break between, big weekends. You can't play 3 or 4 tournaments every month with 10, 11 girls where you're playing a highly competitive schedule. You need all your girls to develop. Now, the cream will rise to the top. You will have some better players, some pitchers that you'll be able to count on. I hate using that word bracket pitcher because you can kind of tell who people are and where people come from when they use that term bracket pitcher. That bracket pitcher, what that does is that means this is my pitcher. No one else is as good as she is. And that's what we're going to roll with. And you play in those tournaments to where it's 2 pool games and a single elimination. Those are the tournaments that you play in. At the end of the day, you're playing those tournaments for medals and ribbons, not for the development, not for the level of competition. You're playing it because you want to be able to post it on social media. So when we get back to roster sizes, I would always go age group +1 as a rule of thumb. So 8U, you want to maximize playing time. There's 10 on the ball field. That's sort of like the outlier. There's 10 on the ball field. So the most that I would carry would be 11. But then you have to sit there there's one girl that's on the bench unless there's just a rotation. You have a set rotation of what you want to do. Very hard on coaches to maximize playing time at 8U. Kudos to those 8U coaches that do. They go out there and they volunteer their time and they do their thing. 10U, when you get into it, you're going to have a couple pitchers and you're going to try to maximize mound time for them. Also with the catchers, and then you'll have your players that are, learning the game. Maybe there's not rec in their area. That's another difficult age to coach, trying to develop and get them the taste of winning. How do you, what rosters are you playing with when you go to tournaments? You play in where you can bat all 10. What's your roster and your lineup makeup when you get into bigger tournaments? How's that work out for you? And when I say the term bigger tournaments, what I mean is bigger tournaments as in numbers wise for amount of teams. At 10U, every tournament's big to a kid. It doesn't matter where it's at, how many teams are there, but I'm talking from a coach and a parent perspective on that. When you get up there at 12s and 14s, you're going to carry a roster that has 3 bona fide pitchers that you've identified as your pitchers. These are who my girls are. Now, you could have pitchers that also play short, third, center, and right. Absolutely. We want them to continue to develop and play multiple positions. So just as an example, you might have a girl that starts the game pitching. You might have one of your girls that's on the bench that is a pitcher as well, so that if something does happen during the game, you can at least let that pitcher warm up. And then by the time she's done warming up, she knows what pitches she's on right now. One thing that happens when you take a girl from third base to the mound is, yes, she warmed up, but that could have been 30 minutes ago. But now she's been playing third. That's not her mindset. She's just not in it right now to pitch. And then you give her 5 pitches to warm up. Bases are loaded, nobody's out, and there's 2 balls on this batter. And you expect her to come out of it. And when she doesn't, she walks the batter, gives up a big hit. Now her confidence is shook because you as a coach decided that you were going to make that happen for her and pull her from the position she was playing and set her up for failure.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, oh, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
So that's why we usually carry a little bit bigger roster as we get into the 12s and the 14s. So you can have a pitcher like, hey, you're starting this one on the bench. You're going to be my backup pitcher this game. and then we'll get you in there. Same thing with a catcher. Hey, you just caught last game. Let's take a break. We'll get you in as a defensive replacement and get you in at bat later on down the road. Maybe we'll start you out at first base, or maybe we'll go, you might be the extra hitter, extra player. So you'll bat this game. We're going to give you a break in the field. Okay, cool. And when you do those larger rosters, it's not just the fact that they're sitting on the bench and just hanging out, hungry, wanting to eat, wanting to do something like that. Get them involved in the game somehow. Get them in to the point where they become a part of your coaching staff. They're watching something. They're maybe taking notes. Your catchers and your pitchers are learning, about your pitch philosophy. If you got your pitching coaches calling pitches, or if you got some other system that's going on where the pitcher and the catcher on the field are calling their own pitches and they're doing their own thing, talk with your catcher, talk with your pitcher when you can, so that they can understand, what are we throwing in this situation? What are we doing right now when we're doing this? Have them in there trying to figure out strategies and different things. Maybe they can keep up with who did what from the other team. Hey, coach, this girl hit it to the left center last time. Or, this one, I play with this girl at school ball. She likes pitches here, likes pitches there, something like that. Get them involved. Don't let them be on their phones just hanging out doing their thing. When you carry a bigger roster, you're going to have more on the bench, but they have to be active members on the bench, okay? Once you get up there in the older ages, again, it's the same thing I was just talking about. Those girls need to be engaged. If you go to these bigger tournaments where you'll play maybe 3 games, you might play 2 games on Thursday, 2 games on Friday, then you're seated for weekend play. There's a rotation. You want to maximize their potential while they're out there. So I get it. There's going to be times where you have to throw a pitcher back to back, or you have to throw a pitcher a lot of innings and this and that. But I would rather have my pitcher start a weekend at 90, 95, 100% and try to keep her above 70% for the weekend. Because the longer I go, the more I advance, the better off the team is going to be. This past year, we played in the Alliance Fast Pitch Open National, and you wouldn't believe the teams that were just running out of pitchers for different reasons at the older age groups. You walk into a weekend with 3 pitchers because you got a roster of 12 and you're playing 16, 18U. Man, that attrition is going to get you. You're just gonna run into a brick wall where you run out of pitching because you've had to use all your pitchers in the game Friday night. You come in Saturday morning, you got this one girl, she can give you a few innings, and I'm talking, she's a top pitcher, one of the top pitchers in the country, right? She can give you a few innings, so it's when do you use those innings? But you've only got 2 other pitchers on the roster, but one of them is your first baseman and the other one is your shortstop. So you're rotating players. There's a lot. For me, the best piece of advice I could give you is to go into the season with flexibility in your mind and be able to talk about flexibility not only to your team, but to your parents. The kids will understand it way before the parent will, because the parent is invested. The parent's the one paying the money. So they look at it as, how much playing time value am I getting out of the cost? And that it'll always be the same until you get them into that mindset probably a little bit later on in their kids, or the longer the parent has been involved in the sport. But right now, I'm telling you, it is almost like a fog or a cloud where travel ball is an expensive sport. I pay X amount of dollars. I expect my child to be on the field at all times. And unfortunately, it's not right, but that's the way it is. If I was in that situation, I would probably feel the same way as most parents until I realized, like, hey, everybody's paying the same amount. We do have to have this many players on our roster because it does give us the flexibility and it does save our girls through a long season. There's so many people out there that are playing year round now. You get this bad boy cranked up in March. Y'all are still playing a Toys for Tots tournament in December. You're talking carrying 10 head of kid that everybody can set aside their entire lives around a schedule that, was put together on a whim. It's rough, man. It's rough. So take a step back, take a look at it, and weigh all the options, weigh all the pieces to the puzzle. What's best for my kid getting developed, what's best for my wallet to where I don't go bankrupt, and what's best for the team as a coach. Parents, put yourself in those shoes as a coach. It's real easy to sit on the sideline and be able to tell them what to do and how to do it. And if I was a coach, I would do this. Think about all the other stuff that goes into coaching, not just who's playing where. All right. There's a lot that goes into it. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode, talking about roster size. Again, that's not really an ideal one size fits all. Do your research on your team. Figure out what works best for you. If a lot of kids can show up on time and be there at the younger ages, go for it. As they get a little bit older, you're going to carry a little bit bigger roster size because you want that flexibility. You might want a bunt specialist. You may want speed. You may want power. You may have some developmental cases. You may have pitchers that all they want to do is pitch because they're at that point. Whatever. So there's not a one-size-fits-all when we're talking about roster size. Anywho, appreciate you guys for checking this one out. If you share it with a friend. Make sure you tell them you love them.